Amra Restibegovic looks after one of Bosnia's most valuable treasures. The librarian in Sarajevo is heading to work, as she has for the past 39 years. The only problem is she doesn't really have a job anymore.
We haven't received a salary for 9 months now, but we still keep on going to work. We see this as our duty.
Her employer, the Bosnian National Library, no longer exists because the country's conflicted lawmakers can't agree on its funding. The books are in temporary storage.
We lost colleagues in the war, and then we lost our status as the National Library. We were always a national library, and now we don't even have the title.
The country's ethnic Serb politicians reject the library, along with other Bosnian national cultural institutions. But the other main ethnic groups, the Bosniaks and Croats, don't want to have to foot the bill alone. Many of the books are desperately in need of restoration. Leaving the works lying around in cartons doesn't do them any good.
This is one of the first printed books ever. Ovid's Metamorphoses.
Cultural riches in a legal void.
This is an incunabulum, a printed book from before the year 1500. We have more such books, and we're very proud that we saved them in the war.
Back in August 1992, library workers and neighbors risked their lives to rescue the books from the inferno of the Bosnian War. Serb nationalists had targeted the library building, a former city hall, or Višnjica. The multi-ethnic literary legacy of the land of Bosniaks, Serbs, and Croats went up in flames. The helpers managed to save a tenth of the books while dodging sniper fire from the hills overlooking Sarajevo. Municipal firefighters struggled to save the building. One of them was Ismet Tučak. Now, 21 years later, he heads the fire department. Why a building full of books became a military target, he says he doesn't know.
I can't explain it. I don't know what a library is supposed to be guilty of. What are small children guilty of? But in wars, people turn into monsters. Today we're drinking coffee together, and tomorrow we're fighting.
Since the Dayton Accords of 1995, Bosnia and Herzegovina has been a divided land. Most Serbs live in one half of the country, Bosniaks and Croats in the other. Kanita Vocak is a Croat. Her Bosniak husband was killed in the war. Their Croat-Muslim marriage was as symbolic of the country's mixtures of cultures as the books in the library once were. They lived across from the building.
In
the war, other objects were also targeted by grenade fire. The museum, the Olympic Center from the 1984 Winter Games, schools. None of those were strategic targets. That's why we referred to that as herbicide.
Herbicide, the destruction of an urban area. Today, the former library building is being restored. The EU is giving €5 million to renovate it. Today, Kanita Vocak is seeing the work on the interior for the first time.
Marvelous. It's beautiful.
But that won't solve the problem of the library and its books. The landmark building is to reopen next year, again as a city hall. The last time it served as the seat of local government was back when it was built, when Sarajevo belonged to the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It's as if Bosnians are avoiding the conflicts of today by harking back to symbols of the imperial past between the West and the Orient. When the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, visited Sarajevo in 1914, he stopped at the Višnjica. Then the shots fell that triggered the First World War. Franz Ferdinand was assassinated by a nationalistic Serb opposed to the Habsburg monarchy. Among the works rescued from the library, Ama Rashid Begovic, the librarian, has discovered an original document from June 1914, the itinerary of Franz Ferdinand's visit. But for the moment, the historic record, along with the rescued books and the library staff, will have to remain in their temporary quarters.
Kultura je uvijek odraz stanja u jednoj zemlji.
Culture always mirrors the country.
Oni koji donose odluke ne budu
Our politicians need to understand that. If they don't accept how important culture is for the next generation and for normal life, the state of our library will remain as bad as the state of our country.
The moldering books of Bosnia's National Library, a sobering mirror image of Bosnia and Herzegovina 18 years after the end of the war.